Hey everyone, it's Uzi. Welcome back to the channel. We're diving into the roller coaster that is the housing market today, specifically looking at 10 cities where prices took a nosedive in 2025. What makes it go up? What makes it go down? And how can you even begin to predict these things? Well, today we're going to break down some key factors that contributed to the housing downturn in these specific cities. We're going to look at everything from local economic trends, interest rates, and inventory levels to things like migration patterns and even government policies. It's about understanding the market forces at play, learning from the past, and using this knowledge to make smarter decisions in the future, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just understand where your hard-earned money is going in this crazy market. So let's jump right in. Alright, first up, we're heading to the desert, Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix was on fire, and I mean literally and figuratively, for a while there. People were flocking to this desert metropolis, drawn in by the year-round sunshine, the affordable living, or so they thought, and the booming job market. The influx of new residents led to skyrocketing demand for housing, and as we know, when demand outstrips supply, prices go up and up and up. But what goes up must come down, right? Phoenix's economy, while booming, was heavily reliant on a few key industries, particularly construction and real estate. And when those industries started to slow down, well, the whole house of cards began to teeter. Add to that rising interest rates making mortgages more expensive and bam! Suddenly that desert oasis didn't look so appealing anymore. Next, we're heading to the Lone Star State, to a city that was once considered the Silicon Valley of the South Austin, Texas. Tech giants like Apple, Google, and Tesla were setting up shop, bringing with them high-paying jobs and a flood of new residents. The city was buzzing with energy, innovation, and yeah, a whole lot of traffic. Remember that whole remote work revolution that the pandemic ushered in? Well, it turns out when you give tech workers the option to work from anywhere, a lot of them choose, well, anywhere but the office. And suddenly Austin's biggest draw, those high-paying tech jobs, weren't tied to a physical location anymore. People started to realize, hey, I can get the same salary working from a beach in Bali or a mountain cabin in Colorado, without having to deal with the rising cost of living and, let's be honest, the increasingly unbearable traffic in Austin. As more and more tech workers left, so did the demand for housing. Those once competitive bidding wars cooled down, inventory started to pile up, and prices, well, they started to slide. Alright, let's talk about Boise, Idaho. Boise was like that hidden gem everyone was trying to keep secret, you know? Nestled in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, it offered stunning natural beauty, a laid-back vibe, and a relatively affordable cost of living, at least compared to those coastal cities. But word got out, and soon everyone and their dog was packing their bags for Boise. Remote workers, retirees, families looking for a change of pace, they all saw Boise as the answer to their prayers. But this mass migration, while great for the local economy initially, ended up creating a bit of a housing crisis. The city's infrastructure struggled to keep up, housing supply couldn't keep pace with the influx of new residents, and prices, you guessed it, went through the roof. It got to the point where longtime residents, people who had called Boise home for years, were being priced out of their own neighborhoods. Alright, let's head to Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville was rocking and rolling for a while there. Its vibrant music scene, growing healthcare and tech industries, and that undeniable southern charm were a potent combination, attracting young professionals, musicians, and retirees alike. But even the sweetest melodies can hit a sour note. And for Nashville, that note came in the form of, you guessed it, a housing market downturn. A lot of it was fueled by speculation, with investors scooping up properties left and right, hoping to cash in on the city's booming popularity. This speculative frenzy drove up prices at an unsustainable rate, creating a bubble that was just waiting to burst. As investors started to sell off their holdings, often at a loss, it flooded the market with inventory, pushing prices down even further. Next up, we're heading to the Sunshine State, to Tampa, Florida. Tampa was on a roll. Its beautiful beaches, year-round sunshine, and relatively affordable cost of living, at least compared to other Florida hotspots, made it a magnet for retirees, families, and young professionals fleeing those expensive coastal cities. But even paradise has its price, and for Tampa that price came in the form of, you guessed it, a housing market correction. Tampa's popularity, while great for the local economy, led to a surge in demand for housing that simply couldn't be met. Construction couldn't keep pace, inventory dwindled, and prices, well, they went through the roof. People who had moved to Tampa for its lower cost of living were now finding themselves priced out of the market. Alright, let's head to the slopes to Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City was riding high for a while there. Its stunning mountain scenery, world-class skiing, and booming tech scene made it a magnet for outdoor enthusiasts, young professionals, and, well, anyone who loves a good powder day. But even the most idyllic mountain towns can experience a housing market downturn, and for Salt Lake City, that downturn came in the form of, you guessed it, a combination of factors. Like many other cities on this list, Salt Lake City's popularity led to a surge in demand for housing, outpacing supply, and driving up prices. This made it increasingly difficult for locals, particularly those in lower-paying service industry jobs, to afford to live in the city they called home. As prices soared and the gap between wages and housing costs widened, Salt Lake City's housing market began to lose its footing, leading to a slowdown in demand, and eventually a correction in prices. Vegas, baby, the entertainment capital of the world, a city built on risk, excitement, and the promise of hitting it big. Las Vegas was on a hot streak for a while, attracting tourists and new residents alike with its glitz, glamour, and relatively affordable cost of living. But even in a city where fortunes are won and lost on a daily basis, the housing market can be a fickle mistress. Las Vegas's economy, while diverse, is heavily reliant on tourism and hospitality. And when the pandemic hit, well, it was like hitting the jackpot in reverse. Casinos shut down, tourists stayed home, and the city that never sleeps was forced to hit the snooze button. This had a ripple effect throughout the local economy, leading to job losses, reduced consumer spending, and, you guessed it, a decline in the housing market. Let's talk about Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City, home to Starbucks, Amazon, and a whole lot of rain. For a while there, Seattle was the place to be. Tech giants were setting up shop left and right, drawing in a wave of highly paid tech workers and fueling a surge in demand for housing. But as we've seen with other tech hubs on this list, Seattle's reliance on the tech industry proved to be a double-edged sword. When the tech sector started to cool down with layoffs, hiring freezes, and a shift towards remote work, Seattle's housing market felt the chill. Seattle's housing market, much like its coffee, was already pretty strong. But this influx of tech wealth pushed prices into the stratosphere, making even those high-paying tech jobs insufficient to keep up with the rising cost of living. Alright, let's head to the mile-high city Denver, Colorado. Denver was on a roll for a while there. Its stunning Rocky Mountain backdrop, thriving craft beer scene, and booming economy made it a magnet for outdoor enthusiasts, young professionals, and anyone looking for a taste of that Colorado lifestyle. But even the most picturesque cities can experience a housing market downturn, and for Denver, that downturn came in the form of, you guessed it, a perfect storm of factors. Like many cities on this list, Denver's popularity led to a surge in demand for housing, pushing prices up at an unsustainable rate. In an attempt to capitalize on the city's popularity, developers went on a building spree, constructing luxury condos and apartment buildings that catered to a wealthier clientele, further exacerbating the affordability crisis. As prices soared and the gap between wages and housing costs widened, Denver's housing market began to lose its footing, leading to a slowdown in demand and eventually a correction in prices. Finally, we arrive at the heart of it all, San Francisco, California, the city by the bay, the birthplace of tech giants, and for a long time, the epicenter of the housing affordability crisis. San Francisco's story is a cautionary tale of what happens when a city's success becomes its undoing. For years, San Francisco was the undisputed champion of the tech boom. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Apple flocked to the city, drawn in by its innovative spirit and deep pool of tech talent. This influx of wealth and high-paying jobs sent housing prices into the stratosphere, making San Francisco one of the most expensive places to live in the world. But as we've seen time and time again, what goes up must come down. So there you have it, 10 cities that saw their housing markets take a hit in 2025. Now I know what you might be thinking, Uzi, this is all doom and gloom. Is there any hope for the housing market? And the answer is, of course, there's always hope. The housing market, like any market, moves in cycles. What goes up must come down, and vice versa. The key is to learn from the past, understand the factors that contribute to these cycles, and make informed decisions based on your individual circumstances and financial goals. Do your research, consult with experts, and remember that real estate is a long game. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more updates on the housing market and other financial tips.